Welcome back to Eastern Europe, Cultural and Political Environment, Video 3 in the series. This production is brought to you by international correspondents Jessica, Mary, Mike, Lydia, and Tricia. Today we'll touch on cultural dynamics, customs, business marketing implications, political overview of each country, laws and regulations, as well as marketing activity and implications. And on to the Czech Republic culture. As far as customs and traditions, Czechs prefer to communicate indirectly, and it's often not uncommon to hear a dirty joke or two between Czechs. The religion in the Czech Republic is 23% Christians, and the vast majority is spread out amongst many other religions, with many being unaffiliated. As far as business practices, the Czechs have a Monday through Friday work week. Business negotiations tend to be slow and drawn out. Being on time for meetings is necessary, and firm handshakes, similar to the U.S., are preferred. When visiting the Czech Republic, 95% of people speak Czech and about 2% speak Slavic. And also notable is they take great pride in their education. The Czech Republic ranks 30th in the world with regards to math, science, and reading. The cultural significance here is that Czech consumers are traditionally price sensitive. However, they do value the importance of quality. Distribution channels in the Czech Republic are very similar to those in the remainder of the European Union. With regards to political systems, the Czech Republic is a parliamentary, democratic, pluralistic republic that offers a stable political environment. The political environment supports economic liberalism, defends principles and personal freedoms, and entrepreneurship and private ownership is valued and encouraged. As far as ease of doing business, the Czech Republic is very open-minded and ensures a robust environment for investment. They have signed on with MIGA and become a member of the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency. They've also signed a number of bilateral and international treaties which help support and protect foreign investment. They've also, by the way, done very well with integration into the EU in a very harmonious way, especially with regards to manufacturing. In summary, the political and regulatory environment across the board, country and business climate, are all advantageous and considered very low risk. And moving on to Hungarian culture. A couple of key tidbits here on customs and traditions. Hungarian conversation can be direct and at times confrontational. However, English has a much more relaxed tone to it. The finger pointing is considered rude, as well as keeping your hands in your pocket. As far as religion goes, 81% of the population are Christians and then mixed with the remainder. And as far as business practices, tardiness for meetings is the norm. They expect you to be late. Hungarians also do have to dot their I's and cross their T's because they are very detail oriented and need time before making a decision. And when in Hungary, Hungarian is the language. Almost 94% of people speak Hungarian. About 6.4% speak other languages, and they more or less middle of the pack in terms of valuing education. Hungary comes in 38th worldwide in terms of their math, science, and reading scores. A couple of key cultural notes that are related. There's a significant contrast between consumers living in big cities and rural areas. Hungarian consumers opt more and more for online shopping and also are expressing a growing interest in high quality goods as well as convenience-oriented foods. The number of single-person households is increasing, therefore the aging population. And Americans must expect negotiations to be informal and may not start on time. It may be prudent to have a representative from a Western firm be familiar with the culture and local customs. With regard to political systems, Hungary has a parliamentary democracy. A couple of keynotes, however, is Hungary's political climate is unstable and growing more so. It's encouraging nationalists across the continent to follow the same path. This is becoming a concern within Europe as a whole. However, when it comes to laws and regulations or the ease of doing business, there is a favorable environment with regulation, which is based on civil law, and Hungary welcomes international business opportunities. The Hungarians consider personal relationships crucial, so face-to-face discussion is absolutely essential in business matters, and the solid relationship relies on repeated visits and phone calls. And although there's some uneasiness about the political environment across both the country and business climate rating, the political and regulatory environment all seem inviting at this point in time and closer to lower risk. Now on to Romania. A couple of tips on customs and traditions. Romanians are polite and hospitable and do appreciate direct eye contact. 99.5% are Christians. And as far as some other business practices, is Romanians do like to get their meetings kicked off on time, really don't like to be kept waiting. Formal business dress for men and women is common, and negotiating at times can take a while, but rushing the process is definitely not a good idea. In Romania, they speak Romanian 91% of the time and Hungarian 6.7% of the time. And unfortunately, they don't perform nearly as well as the other countries under review. Romania comes in 46 with regards to scores on math, science, and reading. A couple of small related cultural items. The Romanian consumer is more or less conservative, in large part due to them having the second lowest purchasing power in the EU. And therefore consumers are devoted not to a single brand, but a real balance between an acceptable price and quality. As far as political systems go, Romania is a republic. However, the political climate is a bit unstable. Even though they are one of the poorest countries in the EU, they are also one of the most corrupt, and the authoritarian populism is emerging as a force and a popular viewpoint amongst a majority of their voters. However, when it comes to ease of doing business, there is a guaranteed free access to their markets. Foreign investors are allowed to participate. They're entitled to establish wholly owned foreign enterprise within Romania, and applicable legislation does provide specific requirements for manufacturing, import trade, supply chain, certain products. However, the company is open for business. Overall assessment with political regulatory environment is not bad. Country risk is slipping a little bit, but the business climate seems to be pretty good. And we move on to Russian culture. A couple of tidbits on customs and traditions. Handshakes are both welcome for men and women. However, men continue to professionally have an advantage over women on pay, power, and position. Thumbs up or the OK sign, as well as pointing, is really considered rude in country. With regards to religion, 73% of the population is Christian, and the next closest will be 10%, which is Muslim. Russians are becoming increasingly punctual, although they may be late from time to time. Meetings often have an agenda, but don't be surprised if it's not followed. And meetings should start on time, but if that doesn't happen, it's still acceptable. Although there are 35 official languages, Russian is spoken a majority of the time. And as far as education goes, Russia performs pretty well, coming in at 28th around the world with regards to their math, science, and reading scores. A few related cultural items. Russians have a strong brand loyalty, but have been known to buy things impulsively at times. The consumers have been adjusting to new economic conditions, and therefore Russians are a bit more selective when shopping. They do happen to spend 80% of their income, though. They are very family oriented, and therefore really only 1/3 of Russians shop for themselves. With regard to political systems, the government of Russia is a federal semi-presidential republic. The Russian political climate is incredibly unstable and filled with corruption. They're very restrictive with regards to product market regulation and often pervasive with regards to the role of the state in the economy. With regards to laws and regulations of the ease of doing business, many executives from American and European multinationals have noticed increasing regulations, unplanned inspections, heightened pressure to hire and manufacture locally, and therefore threats and fines have increased. This is making the market something less than desirable and putting into question the longer-term outlook for the Russian marketplace. Therefore, in summary, the risk assessment across the board is deteriorating, moving into a higher risk environment, both for the country risk and the business climate rating, due to the aforementioned items, especially with regards to the political environment in Russia and the degree of corruption.